Hi everyone, I am Prachi Agarwal. Welcome to our channel Learn Competitive Programming with CodeChef. If you are interested in competitive programming and want to learn and master data structures and algorithms, then this is a one-stop destination for you. Every week we'll post CodeChef problem explanations, conceptual videos on various programming paradigms, and also conduct live problem-solving sessions. But before we actually get started, here's a reminder to hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet already. Great. Now that you have subscribed, let's get started. Today we'll be solving the problem Ashish Cup and Interviews, which is a cakewalk problem and it belongs to the January lunchtime. So without wasting any time, let us go to the problem statement. In this problem statement, there is an interview going on and each candidate in the interview is being asked n number of problems. Now Ashish has to decide. Now who's Ashish? Ashish is the interviewer and he has to give his verdict based on how the interviewee are answering the problems. And what verdict will he give? So out of these four, any one verdict will be acceptable for any of the interview. Either the interviewee can be rejected, he can be deemed as too slow, bought, or accepted. But what is the condition based on which these verdicts are to be given? So that depends on the amount of time the person will take to solve each of the problems. So for that, we are given with an array A, and this array A contains the amount of time each interviewee is taking to solve each of the problems. So say suppose if n is equals to 6, we have 6 problems and each interviewee is being asked with 6 problems. So this array A will contain the amount of time that the interviewee will take to solve the 6 problems. So for the first problem, suppose the time is 1. For the second problem, the time is -1. For the third problem, time is 0. For the fourth problem, the time is 60 seconds. And for the fifth problem, time is -1. Again, for the sixth problem, again the time is -1. Now, what do you think this -1 means? As you can see, it is given in the problem that -1 denotes that the candidate was not able to solve this problem. So please remember that this means that the candidate is not able to solve the problem, which will affect the verdict in some way. So that we will see later. Now let us see that what are the conditions through which we can decide the verdict. So if the candidate is rejected, then for that, if the candidate cannot solve at least half of the total number of problems, then we can say that the candidate will be rejected. What does that mean? That means that suppose that there are 6 number of problems, and if we say that the candidate is not able to solve more than 3 problems, that is 6 divided by 2 equals to 3. So if the candidate cannot solve more than 3 problems, in that case, the candidate will be rejected from the interview. And what is the criteria how can we know that the person was not able to solve the problem? So in that case, we are given the time as -1. So for all those problems for which we have time as -1, we can say that the person has not solved this problem. Now, the second case is too slow. It means that if the candidate is not rejected, means the first condition should be false. The candidate should not have been rejected. Then what? The candidate took more than k seconds to solve at least one problem, then he will be deemed as too slow. So this value of k will also be given to us. Like in this example, suppose I am taking the value of k as 60. So it means that in all of these 6 problems, there should be at least one problem in which the candidate has taken more than 60 seconds to solve that problem. So if that will be the case, then the person will be deemed as too slow. The third verdict is bought. What does this bought means? That if the candidate is neither rejected or too slow. So definitely, because in too slow also we had the same thing, that if the candidate is not rejected, so the upper 2 conditions before bought must be false. And if that is there, then the candidate should have solved all the n problems in at most 1 second each. So it means that the time that for each problem that the candidate should take should be 1 second each. So if there are 6 problems, then if the candidate takes 1 second each for all the n problems, or maybe 0 also the person can take. So 0 is also applicable because it is written at most 1 second each, means the upper limit is 1, but it can be less than 1 also. But keep one thing in mind, that -1 denotes that the person was not able to solve the problem at all. So the time should be between 1 and -1. This should be the range in which the time should lie for the bot condition to be true. And the last is accepted. It means that if all of these 3 conditions are not followed, if all of these 3 verdicts are not being given, then we can say that the candidate is accepted in the interview process. So now how we will approach this problem? See, we have 4 verdicts here. So we need at least 3 variables in order to store that how many problems are not solved by the interviewee, how many problems did he take more than k seconds, and for the bot condition we will need to count that if all the problems are between greater than -1 and less than equals to 1 seconds or not. So we will need at least 3 variables to identify that which is the verdict that is being given to any candidate. So for the rejected condition, we will take one variable as rejected, and this variable will count the number of problems that the candidate was not able to solve. That means the condition, that means that AI should be equals to -1. It means it denotes that the candidate was not able to solve this problem. Then for too slow, we will take a variable slow. This variable will count that in how many problems the candidate took more than k seconds. So even if slow is equals to 1 or greater than equals to 1, in that case this will be the verdict that will be given to the candidate, provided that he is not rejected. Now the third verdict is bot. So in bot we had that all of the n problems, we had n problems, right? So in all of the n problems, the candidate should have taken time as greater than -1 and less than equals to 1. So if this is the range in which the time lies for all the n problems, then we will give the verdict as bot. And if all of these 3 verdicts are not true, we will check in the form of if-else conditions, right? If-else, if we will make an if-else ladder. So in the else part, we can say that if all of these are not true, then the condition will go to the else part, and there we can say that finally the candidate is accepted. Now let us look at some examples to understand this better. So now guys, we have 4 examples here, and we will take a look at each of the examples one by one and try to decide the verdict. So in the first example, we have n given as 7. We have 7 problems for which the timings are given, that how much time a candidate took to solve each of the 7 problems, and we have k equals to 31 seconds. Now first thing we wanted to check was that if the candidate will be rejected or not. So in rejected, what we will store is the number of problems that the candidate was not able to solve. So here the candidate was not able to solve 3 problems. You can see for 3 problems we have -1. And what was the criteria of being rejected? It was that if the number of problems that a candidate is not able to solve is more than half of the problems. So what is the half of 7? 7 divided by 2 is equals to 3.5. Now we can either take it to be 3 or we can either take it to be 4. But what was said in the problem statement? That at least half of the problems the candidate should not be able to solve. So if we take this to be the floor value, that is equals to 3, this makes it the less than half of the problems. So we can directly say that if rejected is greater than the floor value of n divided by 2, then in that case the candidate will be rejected, otherwise not. So here n divided by 2, the floor value is 3 and 3 is not greater than 3. So here the candidate is not rejected. For slow, to decide whether the candidate is too slow or not, we needed to see that even if in one problem he is taking more than k seconds to solve, then in that case the candidate will be slow. So here you can easily see that the candidate is taken 42 seconds to solve one problem, and k is equals to 31, which is like 42 is more than 31. So that means slow will be equals to 1, and the condition for slow is if slow is greater than 0, then in that case the verdict will be too slow. So here in this example the verdict is too slow. Now let us move on to the second example. In this example we have 6 problems, k is equals to 60 seconds. Now let us check for rejected. So here 3 problems the candidate was not able to solve. But what is 3 divided by 2? The floor value of, the floor value of 6 divided by 2. So it is equals to 3. And we have to check whether this rejected is greater than 3 or not. So definitely not. 3 is not greater than 3. So the candidate will not be rejected. Then we will come to if the candidate is too slow or not. So do you see any of the problem in which the candidate is taking more than 60 seconds? No, right? The candidate is taking 60 seconds here, but not more than this. So that means slow will be equals to 0 and the candidate will not be too slow. Now we will check for bot. So what was the condition for bot? That if in each of the problem the candidate is taking either 0 seconds or 1 seconds, then in that case we will increment the count of bot by 1. But here the count of bot will be, this one will be qualified, this one will be qualified. It will only be 2. But we needed bot to be equal to the number of problems. That means bot should be equal to 6 in order to be given this verdict. So that means this is also not our verdict. And we discussed that if all of these 3 conditions are false, then in that case the verdict will be accepted. So for this candidate the verdict will be accepted. Now let us go to the third example. Here the value of rejected will be 4 because there are 4 minus 1s in this array. And what is what is n divided by 2? So there are 7 problems and 7 divided by 2 is again 3.5, and we will take the floor value of this, which will be equals to 3. But this time rejected is greater than 3. So in this case, this will be the condition that will be followed and the verdict will be rejected. And we don't need to check any further. Then in the fourth example, there is no problem that is the person was not able to solve. So rejected will be equals to 0 and definitely the verdict will not be rejected. Then we will come to slow. So k is equals to 30 seconds here, and you can see that in none of the problems the candidate is taking more than 30 seconds. So again this will also not be the verdict and slow will remain as 0. Then we will come to bot. So in bot we will check that whether the candidate is taking either 0 or 1 second to solve each of the n problems. So you can see that in all of the n problems the timing is either 0 or 1. So bot will be equals to 6. And if bot is equal n, you can see the condition here, then in that case the verdict will be bot. So in this example the verdict will be given as bot. So that's it guys, this was our problem. Now we will see in the code that how are we supposed to implement this problem. But you should definitely try to solve this problem on your own. But before that, let us go and discuss the input, output and constraints. So in the first line of input, you can see that we have as usual the number of test cases. Then in the first line of input we will be for each test case, in the first line of input we will be given n and k. So n denotes the number of problems and k denotes the condition. It will denote the condition that we will need in order to check the verdict for too slow. Then the second line for each test case will be n space separated integers like this. It will tell us the amount of time that was taken by the candidate to solve each of the problems. Now in output, for each output we are supposed to print in a single line that what will be the verdict, and there are 4 verdicts, right? Rejected, too slow, bought or accepted. So we can print that itself, and it is given specifically that the verdict is case sensitive, insensitive. So even if you like print accepted in this manner or all in lowercase or in any manner that you want, so all of them will be acceptable. So you don't need to worry about that. And the constraints are not too big, they are pretty low. So what we'll just have to do is iterate through all of the problem timings one by one. There are n problems, so we will have to iterate through for each of the problem and then check all of these conditions. So the time complexity will be order of n, and it will easily get accepted because the constraints are not too big. So guys, now that we are done with the problem, this is just one problem that we were able to understand, and then I'm sure that you will be able to solve it. But it is not necessary that for each of the other problems where the difficulty level is on a higher rate, you will be definitely be able to solve that problem. No, right? So what you can do is that you can go to an academy. There CodeChef takes a lot of classes related to competitive programming. There are advanced courses, basic courses, and so many of the stuff related with competitive programming. It is a great hub there where you can just go and find out all of the stuff related to competitive programming at one place. You will not have to waste your time in finding things on the internet. Like they are all scattered. But what if you can get everything at an academy, and that is done by CodeChef, the place where you come to for competitive programming. And it is done by the top coding experts from around the world who are there to help you, who are there to guide you at that place. So please definitely go and have a look there. You just have to go and register yourself there and have access to all of the free content on the Unacademy app. And you can use my referral code, which is Prachi16, in order to register on the Unacademy app and start your competitive programming journey today. Alright, so now let us discuss the code, and if you did not try it on your own, then please go and have a look. Try the code on your own so that it can enhance your coding practice. So the first line of the code is input for the number of test cases. Then inside this loop also we are taking in these 2 lines the input for our problem to get the data. In A there is the timings for each of the problem, and in N it's the number of problems that we have, and K is the number of seconds that we will check that if the candidate is too slow or not. So for that we are given K. Then we will take 3 variables, rejected, slow and bought. So rejected will store that how many problems a candidate could not solve. Slow will store that how many problems the candidate took more than k seconds to solve, and bought will store that in how many problems the candidate took either 0 seconds or 1 seconds to solve. In answer we will store any one of the 4 verdicts that are given to us in the problem. Now we will run a loop for each of the n problems, and we will check that if the timing of the problem is equals to -1, that means that the candidate was not able to solve that problem. So we will increment rejected by 1. Then if the timing is greater than k, that means any problem takes more than k seconds to solve, then we will increment slow by 1. And if the timing of the problem lies in between the range of -1 to 1, that means the timing is greater than -1. Greater than -1 means 0, and less than equals to 1 means 0 or 1, and 0 and 1 included. So if this is the case, then bot will be incremented by 1. Now after coming out of the loop, we will just have to check whether rejected is greater than n divided by 2. If so, that means if the candidate was not able to solve more than half of the problems, then in that case the answer or the verdict will be rejected. If we will come to the else if condition, that if slow is greater than 0, it means that there is at least one problem in which the candidate took more than k seconds. In that case, the answer will be too slow, or we can say the verdict will be too slow. Then if the bot is equal n, that means in all of the problems the timing was either 0 or 1, then in that case the verdict will be bot. And else, otherwise, if all of these three conditions are false, then we will come to else. It means the answer will be accepted, and at last we will just print the answer. So guys, that's it. This was our problem. Now if you have understood the solution, then please do like the video, and to stay updated of the upcoming videos, please hit the subscribe button and also hit the bell icon so that you will be notified of all the upcoming updates. And in case of any doubts or feedbacks, please post it in the comment section below.